Hi there, thank you so much for your lovely videos and showing me your amazing artwork that you produced, and thanks for all your questions as well. I'm going to try and answer as many as I can for you. Also, it's really inspiring for me, so thank you to see all your work that you're producing there, and to think that my work's been seen all the way there in Spain and that you're enjoying looking at it and producing your own artwork as well. So, as I say, what I'm going to do for you is just answer as many questions as I can, and I'll show you around where I work in my studio and gallery as well. So I've got a wee list of all your questions. I'll just ask myself the questions and then answer them as well. So the first question is, when did you start being a painter? So always, since I was really young, since I was your age at school, I always did paint and draw and really enjoyed it. And then after that I went to college and studied for a few years more illustration, and then I started working in an art gallery and then producing my own work professionally. So really I've been a professional artist for about 13 years now, and 4 years ago I got my own gallery and studio here in Leith. How many paintings have you made? Probably a couple of thousand paintings at least, like that, you know. I paint probably about 3 or 4 paintings a week on average, depending on the size that I'm working. But certainly every day I paint all day for about, supposed to be about 6 hours a day. I'm painting. So I'll show you here actually. This is just a book of some of the artwork that I've produced over maybe this is about 5-6 years worth maybe, and you can just see there's countless paintings, and this is only a small amount of what I've actually produced within that time. So yeah, thousands and thousands of paintings and drawings. Why do you have circles around the moon? I can just see a moon behind me here, like that. And really, I always have moons, stars and moons in most of the paintings, and that's because probably all the paintings are almost like dreams of places to me. So the nighttime, the stars just give everything a sense of magic about it. The moon with the swirls around it, it's almost inspired by Van Gogh and his Starry Night paintings that he did, but just to give that energy and movement, and it makes it seem more alive basically. So yeah, just more movement, more energy within the painting and doing that. The same with the wee glow around all the stars as well, just gives it more of a sense of being alive. Did your family support you? Certainly my parents always did support me in artwork. Probably the most support I had from my parents was that they took me to museums and galleries since I was very young, you know, so I always grew up looking at amazing artwork. We always had a lot of artwork in the house, not original work, but just prints and postcards and things. That's partly why I love having these kind of things in the gallery as well. So a kid with pocket money can afford to buy a card or a postcard or a coaster, some piece of artwork that they can have, so it just makes it more accessible, because that's what I grew up with, you know, seeing art in that way. How old are you? 36 last week. Feel older, but yeah, 36. What is your favourite colour for painting? I love using all colours really like that. My favourite colour, I suppose, is a colour that I've never used before, you know, just finding a new colour that you're working with, maybe a new tube of paint, something fresh and new that you've never used is always the most exciting thing. But I suppose the thing that I always come back to is the blues, like you can see behind me, the blue starry skies, the blues of the sea, you know, so probably using these blues the way that I do is my favourite thing to do. What inspires you? Certainly lots of things inspire me, just about everything really that you see around you does inspire you in different ways. Maybe, you know, a book that I'm reading, or a film that I'm watching, or another artist a lot of the time, you know, that you see work, maybe even at different times as well, different things will inspire you. So maybe an artist that you've seen before, if you look at it again, you'll notice something and see something that you've never seen before. So inspiration comes from everywhere, I would say, all the time, but you know, it affects you in different ways at different times, you know. So the most important thing, I think, is to keep yourself open and be, you know, feel free like that, and let the inspiration comes as it comes, you know. How many paintings have you sold? Thousands in a way, because everything that I paint I do sell. You know, I always think it's important for me to get the work out there and seen by everybody. And as well, I always think it's almost like a message in a bottle. The fact that you're doing something, you're putting your feelings into a piece of work, and then it's important to me that that work then has a life of its own somewhere else. You know, I love the idea of all my paintings being seen, you know, in all sorts of places, and having a life that I don't know about really interests me. How much are they? Because I want to save money to buy one. Well, starting small, as I was saying before as well, there's always things, maybe not originals, but small prints for, probably the prices start about £10, so about €12 for a small postcard size print, and then the bigger paintings go up to maybe £2,000, so about €3,000. So anything in between, but I'll certainly give you a good deal if you want to buy one. Why do you paint everything so colourful? I love using bright colour in my work, but probably the main reason for that is Scottish artists, like the Scottish colourists who I grew up looking at and studying at school, painted very bright, but they were in turn inspired by the French Impressionists, you know. So they were looking at people like Van Gogh or Matisse or Picasso later on, but certainly the Impressionists, Monet, these kind of artists really inspired the Scottish artists. So when they were painting here, they used to go to France to visit, and they would paint in the south of France and the light, so they brought all that back to Scotland. And I think that in Scotland art is always stuck, because Scotland's not always the most colourful place. In the summer it's great, but in the winter it can be quite dark and grey. So I think especially in Scotland we need colour more so, you know, we need the colour, so it gives you a sense of joy, you know, and that's what I like painting, is bright colourful things that make other people feel happy, hopefully. Which was your first painting? I've always painted, as I say, since I was really young, you know, since I remember I always painted. But the first painting probably that I ever did in the style here, I've got a wee copy of it here to show you, is that one there. And it's called Castle Broch. So that was one of the first ones in that style, so you can see it still looks like one of my paintings, but it's a bit more simple, it's a bit more naive, but still all the same things that I've kept. That's another early one in that style. So you can see how much it's changed, but I always try and keep the kind of core idea of it all as well. How long does it take to finish a painting? Can take a couple of days usually, but some things will take maybe a week or 2 weeks to paint, and it really just depends on the detail that's in it. Also as well, how expressive it is. Sometimes if I'm painting a really big painting that you think it would take ages, I could get it done in a couple of days, just because you're not doing anything else, you're just painting the one big painting, and it is expressive and you're just getting right into it. Whereas a small painting that's very detailed can take twice as long as that. So it just depends, not on the size, but it depends on the painting. Each painting just takes as long as it takes, but I do try and keep to maybe 2 or 3 days per painting. and that's because then it's not too laboured, it keeps it all fresh, and you get a nice bit of expression and movement within the painting. When you were a child, did you want to be a painter? Yeah, basically I always wanted to be a painter. I think I wanted to be an actor for a while, and then certainly always wanted to be a painter that I remember. As I say, just always was something that I could do and that I enjoyed doing, and just always stuck to it. So yeah, I've always felt quite lucky that I knew that that's what I wanted to be all the time. Okay, that's one question sheet there. I'll just move on to the next one. Is how old were you when you started painting? So as I've said, probably when I was 5-6-year-old, I always wanted to paint, and it was something that I did in my spare time all the time. But professionally, about 10 years ago, I really started to paint and selling all my pieces about 12 years ago. Where do you get the inspiration? Well, as I said before as well, really from everywhere, but mainly from looking at other